Thank you, Inside Edge. This morning, we have the honor of having an incredible speaker from Arizona who will be talking to us about balanced brain technology. Lee Gerdes has an organization. He's the founder and CEO of a group called Brain State Technologies. So he's created brainwave optimization to heal the brain from trauma, violent assault, by using his background as a mathematician, a physicist, a computer scientist, a theologian, and a psychologist. So he arrives at an understanding of how our brains really work and how we can access our 100% limitless brain power. He's used this technology to work on inmates, children, people with learning difficulties, addicts, pretty much like you and I, all the typical problems. So we're going to, for me, insomniac. So I'm dying to hear what he has to say about insomnia. So anyway, we're going to be able to see how our own brains work and how he can reflect back the brain patterns to our brains to give us a well-balanced brain. So to set this up, let's go ahead and watch a little video.
Sleep on the Gerdes.
Oh my God, what year is it?
So it's been 10 years, and I'm going on tour with my mom.
What about, like in Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, where they carry Madonna out? I don't want them to carry you. It's such a sentimental song. It's not a sentimental song. How are you feeling right now?
There's a reason I'm sitting between the two of you.
We're not the Hallmark card. We never will be.
I'm saying I'm tired of doing interviews.
Since when? I am a work in progress. I feel like I'm starting a brand new career with this tour. Literally a brand new life, if you will.
You're a good hostess, Mommy. My first memory is when I was 3.5, and a man was trying to sexually abuse me. What does bother me is the fact that I never told anybody. Nobody knows my innermost secrets.
The mother-daughter relationship is the most complex relationship in the universe.
We're both such wild cards.
And yet, there is such a bond.
There's always that potential for Winona and I to kill each other.
I love this woman so much, and I'm so passionate about still believing that our relationship can heal.
And when I said yes for this tour, I almost had a panic attack.
Is it going to help her? Is it going to help me? Or is it going to absolutely destroy our relationship?
Good evening, Green Bay.
Tell her to get up off the floor.
Lord knows you can't control or predict Hurricane Winona.
Let me tell you something. I cannot handle any more stimulation.
Would you like some of my espresso coffee?
No, thank you. Do you want a salad for after the session
Yes.
with Lee?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
And I only give the dogs bottled water.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. I gave them some water. Thank you for telling me.
Well, they're still alive and kicking.
That must be them.
Willie Hoyt.
Hi, you must be Lee. So nice to finally meet you. Come on.
Oh my gosh.
Good to see you.
Hi. Thank you for coming on the road. You smell good.
Yeah, thank you.
Save me. I come from a family of stone cold secrets. I know it's really dark, and I know it's bad. I have always controlled my memories of my childhood. I whitewashed. I'm an expert whitewasher.
How are you sleeping?
I'm having horrible nightmares. For instance, I can see events of my early childhood in detail. I don't just remember abuse. I'm there.
Well, we all get there in different ways, right?
Yep.
Brain State is neurotechnology that reviews people's brain patterns and helps them balance their brain pattern. We're going to put sensors on the scalp, and we're going to allow the computer to view those brain patterns and help her bring that brain back into balance and harmony to make Naomi more relaxed and to make the rest of their tour as grandiose as possible.
I've been in such a dark, lonely, scary place. And I'm really scared about the fact that I've sort of looked at it, pulled it out of the shadows and looked at it, and now I don't know where to go.
So we're going to go after the temples first. Just close your eyes and relax a little bit. That's it. That's great. That's it. Just take a deep breath. Just let it go for just a couple minutes.
I don't want to live the rest of my life with this dark cloud of stuff hanging over me. I'm going to start cleaning out those skeletons in my closet. You just have to get it out so that you can heal.
Okay. How are you?
I feel exposed and vulnerable right now.
Yeah, you should, because you are.
My hunch is, you started pretending from that moment on,
Yeah.
and that's how you survived. Pretense.
Right now, I've got to fix me because I'm in a really vulnerable place.
Can do it.
Okay.
Previously on the Judds.
Oh my God, what year is it?
So, Inside Edge, let's welcome to the stage Lee Gerdes to tell us about brain state technologies. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the welcome and the opportunity to be with you this morning. Thank you for all your work to facilitate this, and thank you to the foundation. And to y'all for having enough courage to come, especially in the morning. I'm a geek, so I'll have to tell you when I tell you a joke. Yeah, I know. So some people are really bright, and they're able to come up with stuff. And then some people are even brighter, and they're able to translate it, to communicate it. I'm neither. I had a great need. I was working in San Francisco. I was assaulted by 4 youth, one wielding a baseball bat, and spent 8 years in hell with PTSD and going to every known possible modality that you can imagine for 8 years to get out of my own way. But I knew it wasn't me. I just knew it wasn't me. It wasn't who I wanted to be, and in fact and indeed, it wasn't me. And so I did what a geek does, right? You grab the tools that you have. You all do what you know how to do. Okay, so I grabbed the tools that I had as a computer. I was in computer software business. It's bad to remind you, but I was actually working on the first business computer almost in the United States. And that's scary, I know. So it was in fact a time when I needed to see. And so I started to look at my brain pattern using rudimentary EEG equipment. I started to look at my brain pattern when I was feeling pretty good, and then I was looking at it a number of times when I wasn't feeling so good, and guess what? I saw a difference in patterns, and I'll say, well, I'll have what he or she's having when I'm feeling good, right? And that's as simple as it was. And then the question became, but I've tried other modalities. I've tried, say, the modality of operant conditioning, neurofeedback basically, which is now neurofeedback field, and it seemed to help a little bit, but it didn't really work for me. And so how can I change this? And I thought I could change it by not trying to force my brain, but working with it. There are two kinds of, and there's educators here, there are two kinds of educators. One might take a long stick and kind of hit the student after they are told to read a passage and tap them on the wrist sharply a little bit and give them a no, right? That's a wrong answer. The other may encourage the student in what they're interested in that may relate to that passage and help them connect the dots. I'm a dot connector. I don't do well with the taps on the wrist. I don't do well with operant conditioning, and guess what? A lot of people who are very intellectually capable don't either. That's y'all. And my mother said, though, my mother's 101 now, by the way, still takes care of her own home, lives in Nebraska, and still tells me what to do. You know, tells me about the state of the economy and et cetera. But your work together is much more important for you than you imagine, I think. It really does connect your neurons and keep them active. So your participation here is really, really very helpful for you. And if it's helpful for you, I'll guarantee you that it's helpful for all of us because it matters. So, but my mother, who's 101, said to me a couple years after the assault, I said, I just don't get it, Mom. And she said, son, you've always been kind of hard-headed. Well, now you can see where I got my sense of humor. But I knew it was in my brain, and guess what? I wasn't the first. Michelangelo knew that it was in the brain too. This is the picture of the creation account on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. And Michelangelo, as a sculptor, would say, all I do is chisel away that which is not needed so I can see the beauty within. And in this particular case, what he's pointing to, of course, is this is a brain pattern. Look at this. This is the frontal lobe. Oh, isn't it pretty? Pretty. And here, this is God in the brain, right? And here's the temporal lobe, and this is the brain stem. I love it. I love this picture. So Michelangelo knew too. He knew that the brain was the center of all that we do, think, say, and experience. You know, the brain's pretty darn important. So when it comes to the brain and the mind, now we're able to start thinking about things differently. For example, a study shows us that if one wants to really control weight, they had people who loved M&Ms. They got a bunch of people who loved M&Ms. They then had them start to think about M&Ms, to think about how they looked, their color, how they smelled, their taste, okay? And then after they thought about them for so long, they would see how many they wanted to eat. The studies showed that, in truth, what happened was when they thought about it, they ate a lot less. Guess why? Because when you're thinking about that detail and you're activating certain brain patterns in a certain area, it satisfies your hunger. Isn't that a coincidence? Is that why Wynonna dropped like 6 dress sizes and came out in People magazine to say, I don't know what this brain state stuff did, but it sure changed my eating habits? Well, we didn't change her eating habits. We balanced her brain patterns, and what that balanced brain patterns did was helped her change her eating pattern by mitigating some of the really was what was kind of the self-help that she was needing for an imbalanced brain. So recently, though, actually late last year, and somebody then says, well, all you're really doing then is providing a placebo, you know, and there's a placebo effect, and we all know that there's a placebo effect. And I say, what do you mean just? Do you realize that orthopedic surgery had a major trial, and they had people with knee problems, right? Arthritic kind of knee problems. So half of those people received orthopedic surgery, Houston, right? Half of those people just had a small incision, and guess what? Results were the same. Just? What do you think heals the knee? Do you think the surgeon heals the knee? The surgeon makes it possible for the brain and the person to cooperate sufficiently to heal the knee. And that's what you do. And sometimes that's what you do, even when you use your alternative medicines, like, you know, my mother would have us gargle with salt water sometimes when we got a sore throat. And, well, you know the stories. You know all the old, you know, wives' tale stuff. Or is it wives' tale? So then all at once we start to wonder, you know, what's real and what's not. But certainly what we do know is that until and unless that brain pattern is relatively balanced, we're going to have some trouble with it in terms of in terms of cooperating with ourselves.